Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Jesi.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going to be going over The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. The person that's selected that we go over that play is making his first in-person appearance for season 13.
Hi, everybody.
Larry.
Yes, hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
To our in-person, because Larry was in 2 Zoom discussions.
Yes.
So
2 good ones.
they were good discussions.
Yeah, I like the Zoom stuff. You get to talk to people that are not normal appearances, which is kind of fun to meet new people that way and talk about literature.
It is relatively unique. I think in-person is the best, but I think that Zoom offers a lot of, it opens up a lot of avenues.
Yeah. I mean, the best of both worlds would be if we could get those people to be in person with us, but it would be inconvenient to do that. So,
But,
I mean, it's inconvenient to have Jesi with us as well.
I wouldn't say inconvenient. I love you guys. I don't mind driving 4.5 hours for you.
4.5 hours.
That's
every commitment. And she does it just for us.
6 hours.
I did. I just came up here this weekend just for you guys.
Isn't that amazing?
Feel some love.
Thank you, Jesi.
You're welcome, Larry.
you have a discussion starter?
Sure. Let's do it. We're going to talk about The Merchant of Venice, right? So I figured the discussion started I wanted to go with was this one. Because we were just talking about this too.
We were.
Was justice served at the in the courtroom at the end of the play?
It depends. Not really.
I mean,
I have opinions.
it really depends on which side you're
Not
looking
for.
at.
Not. I mean, in their day and age, maybe. But then again, back in their day, they were anti-Semitic in that era, in that area, and the voice that was telling the story was of either a vague unfamiliarity or a sense of disdain toward.
So I would say justice was served for the protagonist. He got what he wanted. Although I don't feel like he should ask a Jewish guy to change his religion. That was kind of stupid. Basically, if you're looking at it from the character standpoint, like the protagonist, I feel the thing is, he got himself saved. He didn't have to lose a pound of flesh or whatever.
Yes.
Because in the contract, and the thing is, that's also another thing is that they pointed out that there's loopholes in contracts. He's entitled to the flesh, not the blood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yes, by getting super technical with the contract is how they're able to save Antonio's life.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as, like, the hero, justice was served. He got what he wanted. Everybody was happy at the end. That being said, I wouldn't necessarily...
Shylock wasn't happy. Let's not say
I wouldn't like, overall, I don't think justice was served at all. I think it was just, Antonio is like, I don't have to pay my contract. Like, ha ha ha, and that, to me, that's not, like, there's a contract. And while it was a barbaric contract put through by, if you don't pay me, what was it, 3,000 ducats or something?
Yeah.
I can take a pound of your flesh. Like, first off, what kind of contract is that? Whatever. Even though it was a barbaric contract, Shylock, he deserves nothing because he put out a loan.
You just want to kill the guy, honestly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that
That's
his reasons were admirable by any means, but at the same time, I feel like, he got the short end of the stick, I guess, just because he was Jewish. And, to me, that was like, oh, come on, guys.
Well, like I say, no one was really a good guy in this.
No, I don't think anybody was really a good person.
Well, it wasn't because he was Jewish, but it was because of the fact that they didn't want Antonio to die, right? I mean, that's the real reason.
I agree. But at the same time, and that's what I'm saying, it's not so admirable what he did, but Shylock, at the same time, was like, oh, well, I only don't like him because of how he pays his debts, so I'm going to be a jerk. And then Antonio's like, fine, be a jerk, I'll just pay you, whatever. Oh, and now, because you're a jerk, I'm not paying you, because that's a pound of my flesh, and now you don't deserve anything out of your contract. Like, his contract is just void. Because
Well, it's not that his contract was void; it's that he couldn't exercise it. It would have been physically impossible for him to exercise a contract without breaking the law.
I agree.
There's a great deal of debate as far as the impression of Shylock throughout, from the historical aspect of whether he was a good person, a bad person.
It just sounds like
he's a villain.
Right.
He's an antagonist, but it's more about the why as opposed to the what.
So, so what this kind of reminds me of is like
the fact why is Shylock the way that he is.
Yeah, it was more just like a gripe between him. And was Antonio even aware that there was a gripe? I feel like there's not even really like much clarification on that, and if there is, I missed it. Because it's just like, Antonio's like, oh, go to that money lender. And I mean, I take loans from him all the time. Like, you might as well go and do it too.
No,
and then
that's not.
Like, did I miss something there? Because that's what he told
Bassanio.
Yeah, him. So he's just like, well, I don't have any money to give you to go get Portia, so why don't you go to this moneylender? And the moneylender is like, well, I'm not giving you a loan. And he's like, but, what if I promise to, pay it back by this time? He goes, okay, well, if it goes unpaid, then I get a pound of your flesh. And he's what? Like, why?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of hatred, right? I mean, they both are pretty open about the fact that they don't like each other.
Yeah.
And it's not because the guy pays his debts. It's because he loans out money, but does not collect interest on the loans. That is hurting Shylock's business, right? So that hurts Shylock's business because of the fact that if this other merchant was not making loans, then those people would have no choice but to go to Shylock, and then Shylock would be able to make money from
But even so, that's just
so it was just like
business.
it was just a business gripe then.
Well, I mean, the thing right now, the stereotype of Jewish people, right, is pretty much all within Shylock, right? Like every negative aspect people associate with Jews is what Shylock
like
is.
he's greedy, basically.
Yes, right? Like when Jessica runs away, right? Or with this man. Is he upset that his daughter's disobeying him? Or is he more upset with that she might be in danger or that something bad's going to happen?
Money.
Yeah, all he talks about is all the money that she took with her, right? It's like that. He's more pained by that than the fact that his daughter betrayed him.
And then he's not even that upset. Because he then like find out like, oh, Antonio's ships have been destroyed. It's like his
he's
daughter
happy about
just
the fact that
ran away. So I mean, I do get that he's supposed to be like a villain, but at the same time, I don't like. To me, it's just he's being unreasonable. Yes. Totally unreasonable in asking for a pound of flesh in a contract, but at the same time, it's like it kind of reminded me of the Romeo and Juliet, their families, like it's just for some reason they just don't like each other.
This one though, there's more. It's more. I think
it's religious.
Yeah, it's more religious. Than
it is a little bit more religious.
Yeah. With Romeo and Juliet, it's family against family. Yeah,
but even so, it's just like even then, like who cares? He doesn't like him because he's Christian. He doesn't like him because he's Jewish. Like.
Basically.
It is reflective of the
maybe that's
Elizabethan,
the modernism in me, where it's like everybody just live happily together. Like I get it, but I mean, it's not the same time.
Elizabethan England. That's the voice. That's the only noteworthy Jewish person of that era was Rodrigo Lopez, who was a physician. He was Queen Elizabeth I's physician, and he was. Hanged for being accused of conspiring to kill the Queen, which he himself denied. And then you have also Venice back then was a Jewish ghetto.
And these two cultures rubbing up against each other is going to be a cause of a lot of friction because of the fact that the cultures are very
And it's
different.
worth noting that the information that I got, this information from, was from an English instructor, Shapiro from Columbia University, who has done studies on Shakespeare and Judaism. And it's also interesting that the YouTube channel Dr. Aiden made mention to the fact that in the Shakespeare had only mentioned Judaism 70 some odd times. About 90% of them were in this play.
Well, I mean, they weren't common, right? Jews were not common.
Yes.
They're still not very common in today's society.
in particular in Elizabethan England.
Right, and just in general, right? There's not a lot of Jews in the world. There's a very small minority.
Most of them are in Israel, and then it's the United States.
I was going to say
Yes,
there's
and
still
even
one
then,
of the
even in the
seven
United States,
most populated religions of the world.
Yeah, but it's
there's
the
a lot of
smallest
religions,
by far.
there's seven, like the seven most populated ones, and Judaism is like, I think it's like 3 or 4 actually. They're still
small.
pretty.
It's very small. It's a very small population.
Wouldn't Islam and Christianity be the top 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you just include Christianity, then that would be
obviously
the biggest.
Christianity is included.
And then Islam behind that, and Judaism would be somewhere behind that. But again, in this country, there's, I think it's like 1%, maybe 1% of the population is Jewish.
Country.
Yeah, if we're looking at like America on its own, the thing is, it's a very small population.
It's definitely a minority.
I mean, if you go to Israel, it's going to be the majority, though.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, yes. In Israel, it would be the majority, but even in that country, it's on the verge of not being.
They have a heavy Muslim population.
Yeah, they have a very strong Palestinian population in Israel as well. So, there's not a lot of Jewish people. I'm not sure why I brought that up in the first place. Oh, yeah, because you were talking about the fact that that Shakespeare didn't write much about them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and I was just making the point that there's.
But when he does write about them, he does it in a sense of disdain, which, in a way, in this day and age, it brings wear to the quality of play.
And I think that's why I said before, it's like it's definitely the modernism in me. I'm a modern human, and the way I see it is just like, let people believe in what they want to believe in. Like, who cares? So that's why I'm like, I understand that the way I feel about it is different because I'm here, and William Shakespeare wrote this play back then when it was, I guess, common to think this way or whatever. I don't know.
I felt that was kind of weird that the thing is that they had to mention that he was Jewish. Like, his religion shouldn't have been mentioned about anything. Like, here's the thing: if the character wasn't Jewish, and the thing is, it was just he was a guy who just wanted this dude's flesh, who hated him, we think, okay, these are just two characters who hate each other. But clearly, the thing is, Antonio hated him not only for the way he did business, but also just because he was Jewish, too. Like, it seemed like the anger between the two characters, like, it's kind of understandable in the fact that they were business rivals. For him to hate him just because he was Jewish just seemed a little weird to me.
It's interesting, right?
And I can understand
that he uses that as an insult, right? Like, he's constantly like, you Jew, you Jew, you Jew, right? But at the same time, Jessica's Jewish, too. And Antonio clearly does not hate Jessica, right? Well, they get along fine. Jessica gets along fine with all the characters in the play. And at the same time, all the characters in the play
she makes the
hate Shylock.
She makes the moves to convert.
Yeah, but even before that, right? Like,
because I get what you're saying. It's like even before she did that, it's like they still got along with her enough for her to want to convert. Either that or like, the way they make it sound, it's like, you're a Jew. They should hate her too because she's a Jew. But it's not. Like, she falls in love with Lorenzo, and they elope together. And she's like, I'll convert for you.
I think that the fact that when a Jewish woman get married, they have to take the husband's religion.
That's what
I'm told. I just don't know.
I don't know how true that is either.
Well, the woman, right? The one thing that I know is true is, like, when the woman gets married and the children are Jewish. Right? If a Jewish woman gets married to a Christian and they have children, then the children are Jewish, and
that's how I understand
the bloodline runs.
Yeah.
But the point that I was trying to make was, okay, if you're trying to insult people, right, because you hate them or because you're angry, you're going to use things that are at your disposal more, right? Like, let's say that you don't like a fat person, right? You might say, hey, you fat slob. Does that mean that you hate fat people? Or does that just mean that you know that you're going to be able to hurt their feelings in that moment of anger when you're trying to hurt those feelings?
Like in the moment of anger, you would say something.
It does make more sense, but you should also be mindful of...
But these are the mindful... These are the sensibilities of modern times that we're trying to read into 16th century literature now. So that makes it tough. So, as usual, I'm defending ancient literature. And I picked these pieces because I know they're going to be difficult.
No, we appreciate it because it's fun to talk about them.
Yeah.
I don't
think it means that you hate Jewish people, right? Because you have the characters hating a Jewish character. When there was another Jewish character in the story, and
everybody likes her.
Yeah, well enough. That's what I wanted to say about that. But the thing that we're not talking about is the most important thing in the play, right? Is the usury, right? I mean, that's why they hate him. They hate him because he's a usurer, and usury used to be dealt with very strictly in Christian societies as being simple, right? Like charging interest is a sin. You're not supposed to charge interest on loans.
People do that anyways.
Huh?
Even today, people do that.
Yeah, people do it. Yes, it's very common to be done. But in these times, it was forbidden, right? I mean, it's still technically forbidden within the Catholic Church to do it. But in those times when the Catholic Church was much more powerful and people adhered to its teachings more rigidly, no Catholic would do it, but the Jews would. And this would also help lead to a lot of the resentment toward the Jews, was the fact that they had more money and they were able to accumulate more money than the Christians through interest. Because the one thing that usury does that makes it a sin is that it centralizes wealth, right? Like if you think about it, right? There's two parties, okay? I need money, you have money, right? So already you have more money than you need, and I need money that I don't have. I come to you, I say, I need to borrow money. You say, okay, I will loan you that money, and I will charge you interest, right? So now I owe you not only the money that you loan me, but I owe you more money that I have to go out and get. So do you see how that would, over time, that would cause wealth to go into one direction, right? And make the rich richer and the poor poorer. So that's why usury is viewed as a sin. It gets into also the discussion that they have when Antonio is getting ready to borrow the money from Shylock, and they talk about copulating ducats, right? Barren metal, right? Because metal cannot create more metal. But in this situation through usury, that's kind of what's happening, right? Where you have money copulating, right? It's causing itself to grow in a way that is not natural.
Yeah,
it's not.
That isn't doable, or
it's not doing anything, right? You're not providing any value, but yet you're getting richer.
I mean, again, I think it makes sense, why there's that bitterness between them. I like you said, the whole putting modern philosophies into 16th century, literature, it doesn't work, and maybe that's why I just I didn't hate the play. I thought some of it was, it was a romantic comedy sort of thing. But yeah, so it's like the romantic comedy aspect, I kind of liked it because I'm a romantic myself. Or at least a little bit. But I don't know.
To me, the romance didn't stick out as heavily as it had in several of his other plays.
Yeah.
I think there were stronger themes pertaining to the money-based story and about the religious themes.
Yeah, it's more about
like his daughter running away and marrying Lorenzo. What was his name? Bassano? Is that his name?
So hold on, I have a question. What was the whole casket thing? I feel like I missed something where she was like, as per my father's will, they have to guess the right casket, and then I marry that suitor. And I'm like, what? I didn't understand the point
the casket thing was really, really weird. Cause
I was confused by that.
This one's correct. It's like, there's a lead one, a silver one, and a gold one.
Yeah.
Alright, one guy picked the gold one, wrong. One guy picked the silver one, wrong. Lead one, that's the correct one.
Yeah, but what is it the correct one for? I missed something. Either that or it wasn't explained.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is
why did he put the picture in the lead one? Is that what you're asking?
Why is it a thing?
Yeah,
right? Where it's just like his dad, or like her dad was just randomly like, how can I make sure that she marries someone who's a really good guesser?
They have some of those. They have.
You know what I mean?
They engage in some of those tournament aspect. In order to win the girl, you have to engage in these contests of.
A contest, I get, because that shows some sort of honor. But here it's like these random people are showing up and going, you know what, that gold casket looks pretty. Yeah? No?
Yeah, I thought it was weird. The thing is, I understand it's a contest and they win the heart, but it just seemed weird that you just guessed.
As well, and Pericles was one of my least favorite Shakespeare plays.
It's like, pick a card. You're wrong. See ya. Pick a card.
That kind of reminds me of Holes, where the girl said that in order to decide who which man she was going to take to pick a number from 1 to 10.
Yeah, like, but even that, like, she's the one picking it. This one, it's her dead father said in his will, pick a casket. Any casket.
And which one was the correct
which ones are the lead one?
The lead one.
Well, yeah, I
Well,
know.
why?
Why the lead one?
Why the lead one?
It's the
Was
least
he a-
precious metal, right? That's like.
And you
it
would
seemed
think-
like he was trying to get somewhere with that.
Like, there might have been a point or something.
Yeah,
where
and maybe
it's-
something that we're missing, that maybe lead was real valuable back then. I have no idea.
But it wasn't.
It was gold.
I think, and that's gold would have been the most valuable, silver would have been the second most valuable, and lead would have been the least valuable.
So what is he saying? You pick the least valuable, the least precious metal to get my precious daughter. What is he saying about his daughter?
Maybe the daughter's
Like-
more precious than
And
gold
not
and
only
silver.
that.
I don't know.
Not only that, right? But he's the one that just caused all this trouble by borrowing 3,000 ducats so that he could come in with all these
And
gifts
guess-
and shower them on her.
It does give
guess
them
the
a sense.
casket.
It does
And
give
then he
them a
says,
tell.
"Oh, the lead one
'cause-
is the one."
Did he really need all that money to go guess a casket, though?
No. That's not the point. I don't even think he knew about the caskets, right? He just he just felt inferior. Like he was unable to properly woo this woman who was worth so much. So he wanted to have a lot of money to bring in this parade of gifts that he ends up bringing in.
And
The
he's
one
still-
servant lady. But then he turns around and he guesses the lead casket, right? So it's like,
And then he gets the girl.
it seems to
and-
contradict the whole purpose of the loan in the first place. Is
Yeah.
like, so
I kind
that
of
he
figured
can
the things
bring
that
all these precious
in the end he was going to
items.
guess the right casket anyway. So like,
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious that he was going to
like
get it.
I was
but,
just like, this guy's gonna get the wrong one, this other guy's gonna get the wrong one, and I was like, oh, but he's gonna come in and guess the right one, so that way we can finally have a happy ending between these two characters, because he's been trying to woo her the entire book, I mean, it's a comedy. The thing is, and the comedies back then, they have to have a happy ending.
Yeah, so, like, you saw it coming, and I'm not saying that, it was bad. I just didn't understand the whole point of it. And I felt like I was like, did they explain it, and I didn't understand it, or...
Yeah, like, it didn't seem to require any skill, honestly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if it required skill, that would make sense. But it was literally, like I said before, dad was like, how do I make sure she marries a good guesser?
Well, it wasn't
Like,
looking for
I didn't-
skill, it was looking for wisdom, but I think the wisdom
But where's the
aspect of
wisdom?
it is lost. Yeah, it's lost. It's not, it doesn't,
Yeah, I don't get it.
Do you know what the wisdom aspect is?
No.
no, it's
It's
got
not
something to
lost
do with
upon
the,
us.
it's
There
got something to
is
do
no
with
wisdom.
the fact that lead is
He
not
was
a
probably
precious.
an elderly gentleman who lost his mind, and that just seemed like a good idea. I don't know. Like, it just...
I mean, unless
I
you
don't
look
know.
at the clues, right? The clues were like, this is what many want, right? So that's not the ideal answers. You don't want to go after something just because everybody else wants it. And the second one was, this is what you deserve. And it's like, well, how do you know what you deserve, right? You don't necessarily know what you deserve because you're inside yourself and you don't know what kind of a person you are necessarily.
Yeah.
And then the third one was, you wager everything that you have and everything that you can be or that you will be, right? So that one's like, okay, so if you're willing to risk much, then you can win more, right? Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the thing's like he was just trying to see who
So it
would
was
be
less
willing
about-
to risk everything for his daughter. Maybe I don't know.
And
Yeah.
why caskets?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That didn't even make sense either. It's like, of all the gold, silver, and lead things, why caskets?
You could use that gold to make other stuff, like coins or gauntlets. I don't know.
You could have used something smaller. I imagine that those caskets were very big and expensive to make. Out of
I
gold,
don't know.
silver,
The
and
romances
gold.
in this just seem kind of weird, and like the whole romance. Who's the one like Nerissa, the lady in waiting? Was that Antonio?
Yeah, no, that was Grant, Tiano, and Nerissa. And Nerissa was Portia's, like,
Lady in
maid
waiting.
or
Servant,
lady in
yeah.
waiting, yeah.
Yeah. So like the things I felt like that romance was
And they were
just kind of
randomly in love.
yeah. The things I felt like that one was just like I was like, okay, so we got another romance going on here. All right, can we go back to the Jessica and Lorenzo thing going on? Okay, now we're going with the Bassano and how's her name? Portia.
Portia, yeah.
Portia. And things, the romance is just kind of seemed to be just there as a background for like what's that word called? MacGuffin, just
Plot
to move the
device.
story along. Yeah, just a plot device.
Yeah.
And the real
Kind of like
Lancelot the
Shakespeare
Clown.
read some Aristotle and said, "Oh, the comedy you gotta have weddings." And so on.
Yeah, and the thing I think the real story is between Shylock and Antonio.
Yeah.
Because
the strongest story.
yeah, that's the strongest story. Because I feel like the romance was just it was just there to
Kinda
move the
tacked
plot
on.
forward.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, I think like they come later on to pretend to be lawyers. Like they're also dressed up
Even
as
though
men.
Antonio has
Yeah.
his own fascination for Bassanio.
That just seemed like a setup, right? Like what you were just talking about. They came in just so that they could have that gag with the rings, you know. And that was probably a big joke, you know.
There's speculation
back in the day whether that was funny.
It could be that they could have had feelings for one another.
Yeah, well, I think what happens
Lost upon me.
Yeah, I know.
I got none of that.
No, I think what happens is,
yes.
Unfortunately, it's like Bert and Ernie. They speculate about Bert and Ernie. I think what happens is that when two men have a love for each other, people are too quick to assume that there's something sexual going on when there isn't.
Yeah, like sometimes the relationship between men is not always romantic. It can be platonic.
No, sometimes
it could be people, like a Legolas and Gimli kind of thing.
Are really good friends, you know, and they have
that's
a lot
a
of love for each other.
Exactly, they're allowed to have bromance.
Yeah.
I don't think they call it bromance back then.
We can call it bromance now. So.
Yeah.
But do we have any final thoughts?
Well, the comparison, right? Like I think at the end too is really interesting. Because again, it's looking at the Jews and the Christians, and in that courtroom scene in the end, right? You have that kind of conflict between justice and mercy, right? Where they're begging Shylock to show mercy on Antonio, and it's like, yes, okay, justice says you're right, but be merciful, right? And that's kind of the Christian message as well, right? I mean, so it's kind of similar in that, you know, according to the Christian message, it's like against the law, we're all guilty, but through the mercy of God, we still have a shot at being saved. So I think that was a really clever way to look at the two worldviews and kind of get at the heart of the difference between them.
Oh no, I feel like it still annoyed me that at the end, Antonio finds out that all of his ships weren't wrecked. They could have paid the debt, and everybody could have lived happily ever after, even the person that didn't really technically deserve it, without having to cause all of this nonsense.
It is aggravating, but
it was a little aggravating.
You don't know.
Yeah, I know. It just, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, the thing was that the time expired, right? Like, he could have paid that debt and offered Bassanio, whatever his name is, Bassanio, at the end, right? He's offering double the 3,000. He's saying, I'll give you $6,000. You just don't take the penalty, but he wants revenge. And that's another aspect of it too that I really enjoy in literature is like the difference is exploring the difference between justice and revenge. Like, where's that line? Right?
Yeah,
it's a good one. True Grit. You ever read True Grit? Or
I've watched True Grit, the movie. Yeah. I'd like to read it.
Which one did you see?
The Jeff Bridges one.
Yeah,
I should see the John Wayne one now.
Yeah, well, the newer one is the one that really gets at that theme. I think. Right? Do you notice that it's like, is she looking for revenge or is she looking for justice? There, you know, it's like.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, Pilgrim.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun romp. The John Wayne one is more of a fun romp, and the Coen Brothers one is a lot darker.
Yeah, sometimes that's the direction they choose to take.
Yes.
How would we rate it? 0 to 5 stars, half stars permitted. Larry?
I would go 3.5. I agree with Dan that the romance stuff is kind of tacked on and not really all that necessary. I agree with Jesi in your criticism of
everything.
the caskets, namely. The whole that whole aspect of it was kind of stupid. I thought that the rest of it was very good. So I'd go 3.5.
Jesi?
I'm gonna go 3.5 too. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it, but I didn't hate it. But I have a lot of criticisms with it.
And what were your thoughts about your namesake?
Oh, yes, I didn't even get to mention that. I got too into my criticisms. Yes, so William Shakespeare made up the name Jessica. He didn't entirely make it up. He kind of, it comes from a Hebrew name.
Iska.
It's spelt a couple different ways, but he takes that name and kind of melds it and turns it into Jessica, which is where we get the common spelling, Jessica. So I always thought that was really cool. I learned that when I was like 16. I was like, cool, William Shakespeare made up my name. Like, that is awesome. He did it for this play, The Merchant of Venice. And I think that's partly why I wanted to like it.
So it's technically the origin of your name.
It is the origin of my name. Oh, wow. So I think that's really cool and probably the reason why I wanted to like this but I didn't. Or I didn't like it as much as I wanted to.
I've been through that before, though, where I liked an aspect of something, but it turned out not to be.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was just neat, and it's kind of cool that every once in a while I get to. Fun fact: William Shakespeare made up my name. But like that's about it. I was critical of it, but I didn't hate it. Like you said, the romance part is just kind of there. It was really more about how can we make this guy seem more of a villain than he actually is, just because he doesn't like this guy, and let's make this guy look like a good guy even though he's really not that good of a guy. So I don't know, it just, the characters didn't really get to me the way I wanted them to, but I kind of enjoyed the whole like, oh, everybody's in love, let's just be happy. I'm like, okay, let's just be happy. Why can't we just be happy? So I'm gonna go 3.5 because I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 3. I'm kind of in the middle of this. I didn't hate reading it, honestly, but I really didn't get much out of it. I feel like the whole, like, basically my opinion, like the whole hating Jew guy thing kind of just seemed kind of dumb and kind of old. But also, like I said, the romance just seemed like it was just tacked on, and the real story was between this whole thing. I do give it more, like an extra half point, which makes it a 3. Is that I like the fact that there was the loophole thing. I love the loophole in contracts, and I love the thing is that they include that in there, proving this has been a thing in courts for years with contracts. There's always a loophole.
Yeah, it's just how.
And that was an I do agree with you, that loophole where it's like you said flesh, no blood.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that was pretty clever.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't really have strong feelings either way, so 3.
I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I think that I like the fact that it takes a different direction, where the concentration is not necessarily on the romantic elements, but on the on an alternate story. But with that being said,
it's kind of a dark comedy, huh?
Kind of like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was a bit of a slog, and I think that the characters within this piece were not very likable, which makes it difficult, but at the same time, you can see why. And it says a lot about Shakespeare's response to things during that time in that place. I thought this was just okay, ultimately.
Yeah. One thing that you brought up earlier that I just wanted to respond to was the forced conversion. I just wanted to say that that's not a good thing. It shouldn't be done. Forced conversions are always
I agree.
Bad.
I don't agree with forced conversion. I think conversion of any kind. You should not be changing people based off of who they are. You should embrace who they are.
Yeah, the forced conversion thing. Like I felt like things like, okay, cool, you won, but why does he have to change his religion? That doesn't make sense.
That's kind of how I felt like it. It's like, what, do you think that's going to make him a better person? No. Chances
I'm pretty sure he's going to still charge interest.
Yeah, he's still probably going to be like, well, I'm going to practice it behind closed doors anyways when nobody's looking. Like, what does that do? Literally nothing.
No, it just causes more problems.
I could put on the face and say, tell people I'm Catholic, but in real life, things, maybe I'm an atheist, who knows? Like, that's the thing, is like, it doesn't really make sense, the whole forced conversion. Like, how do you prove that he's actually a Catholic?
Right. And that's kind of, it was that kind of practice that actually led to the Inquisition and a lot of problems because of the
nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Because of the fact that people were being forced into conversion or felt that way. So that's a problem.
Yeah,
obviously.
I was not a fan, and I just felt overall it was unnecessary. And I guess when you're playing to a room full of Christians, like maybe that's what they want to see. But I don't know.
I just felt like,
too. Yeah, where everybody's like, yeah, he's a Christian now. That means he's a good guy. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, come on. Next time he's still gonna probably ask for a pound of flesh.
Then again,
he hates.
Shakespeare played to the people loving a bloodbath with Titus Andronicus, and we know where that ended up.
Yeah.
In glory.
Bloody glory.
Yeah.
Titus Andronicus was a bad play.
I admit, at least 50% of the reason I like that play is just to piss off Josh.
It's 5 stars just because Josh.
Do you think it looks like the one I just got
He's
from
trying to get back at me for The Vault Soprano, which was a brilliant play.
Brilliantly stupid.
Brilliantly marvelous. If you're interested in reading this and the complete plays of William Shakespeare, here is my copy. This has all of his plays that can be attributed to Shakespeare. Thank you for tuning into this discussion. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. And be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Hi everybody, I'm Jesi from Literary Gladiators, and please join us next time as we discuss Eve's Diary by Mark Twain. It'll be Josh, Larry, and myself, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't already, go ahead and read it so that way we give you no spoilers. And as always, don't forget to join our Patreon. Help us get to do awesome things and have all the benefits of being a Patreon member, like choose our discussions and books and all of that wonderful stuff. As always, keep reading.